looking at. Okay, so here we are. So is this like, what units have we got here? What's going on?
So we've just landed on planet, and you can see that it's a very alien-looking place. We have these deep rift canyons with magma. There are these strange floating rocks and this these interesting minerals that we'll explore. This is the tech tree, one of the largest departures from core Civ. Instead of a linear progression from left to right, now we have a technology web. So there's a lot of nonlinearity in how your civilization advances. So we'll pick a research there, pick some production. Our city has to make something. So
this stuff's all very familiar from Civ.
So as a Civ player, this should look kind of familiar to you. So we have the basics, sort of worker, scout, warrior at the very beginning of the game, but even those are colored a little bit differently, which you'll discover as you play. We've also got this alien nest here that may be a problem if we decide to antagonize them. The aliens are almost a Civ all on their own, and they're relevant throughout the entire game. Okay.
So they're not just like Barbarian and
That's right. Barbarians in traditional Civ are sort of early game speed bumps. But the aliens in Beyond Earth are a faction that you have to deal with. You don't have direct lines of communication with them, but depending on how aggressive you are towards them or the kind of land you encroach on, they'll react to that differently. So we've also got an explorer here that's found an ancient ruin. He'll excavate that for some interesting rewards.
Okay. So this unit down here, he's like a scout type unit, is he?
Right. Actually, he bypassed. But you'll see there'll be these alien skeletons and ruins that you'll find of a progenitor race that's been here way before you. Discovering who they are is an important part of the game, too. It's actually one of the ways you can win.
So every time you play, are you essentially on a new planet? Like, I mean, obviously with picking from the same kind of environmental possibilities and everything, but it's a new planet each time, right?
That's the idea. And it features 3 distinctive biomes.
Okay.
So what we're looking at here is the lush biome, but there's also the arid biome, which is more, it's like a desert, Arrakis sort of dune planet. And then there's the fungal biome, which is extremely alien and strange. And we're excited to show you those very soon. So in addition to those 3 environments, of course, we have our procedurally generated maps, which we put a lot of work into. And we've even gone as far as to design some of our map scripts to match what we think may be on actual exoplanets that have been discovered by Kepler and other satellites. So
you have dug really into a bit of the real science.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, we're fans of history, but we're also fans of the history of space flight, NASA, Roscosmos, the space race. Private ventures like SpaceX and Elon Musk, and all of that is inspiration for this product.
So if you're a big science fan, there's a lot for you to get your teeth into in Beyond Earth then.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the combat then. How does it work? Have we got any combat in this B-roll here that we can maybe skip onto? I'm not sure. But how does it work? Is it the same kind of gameplay as in Civ that we're used to?
So the basic setup of combat is the same. You have 2 units. You get a percentage. You'll see ahead of time what happens, so you can decide if you want to do that or not. But the unit progression is different. Okay. So you don't unlock unit types in the tech web so much as you unlock ways to upgrade them. So this is kind of an homage to how unit customization worked in Alpha Centauri. Instead of the very high granularity customization of that game, what we have is sort of upgrade trees per unit class. So depending on the kinds of technologies you research in the tech tree, you'll unlock these paths through each unit's upgrade tree.
It seems a bit similar to Enemy Unknown, XCOM. So I noticed. So in that, for example, you could upgrade your armor, different types of armor. I noticed in your tree there was things like nanotechnology, and so where do you pull from? That must be the real challenge, I would imagine, is like building that tech tree, because you're building into the future, right? I mean, in the past, you've been able to look back in history and say, well, I know you need to get magnetism so you can get a compass so you can build a big galley to sail across the seas or whatever. But how do you do that then for future gazing? Like, what was your
I think you've hit on one of the most difficult design challenges of this product, which is to have a tech tree and have a technology progression that feels sci-fi enough, but that's also familiar enough that you can understand what it does, or that it's not so fantastical that it's not believable. So our solution to that was to have incremental progress starting from more conventional technologies. So in the beginning of the game, you may research robotics and computers and rocketry, and those are things that you understand. But incrementally from there, as you move out from the center, you start to get into much more alien or science fiction territory, and that's where the flavor really comes in.
Cool. Okay, what about diplomacy? We're having some diplomacy there. We saw that spaceship landing. Now, I understand this is a different thing about Beyond Earth, right? So you don't all start at the same time, like you and your AI counterparts. So explain that to me. Why is there this? Why do you have this grace period where you're on the planet first to get settled?
We decided that one of the themes of this game we wanted asymmetry to be a theme in this game. So the aliens are one of the ways that is there. And then the staggered nature of how the other civs show up also contributes to this asymmetry. You are always first, and the other civs show up anywhere from turn 0 to turn 50 or so.
Okay, so there's quite a window then.
Yeah, there's a window, right. And they land, all over the map, and they may land close to you, they may land far away from you. But they are asymmetric because they left later. They may have taken a slower ship, so they took more with them. They have different stuff that they get to kind of balance the game, but in a different way than if they were always starting at the same
Is there equivalent of Gandhi? Because Gandhi is always this warmongering in the game. Obviously, he's killed me more times than I care to mention. But is there an equivalent? Is there Space Gandhi?
It's Space Gandhi. There's not Space Gandhi, unfortunately. But each leader has a personality, and in addition to that personality, of course, there are these the loadout choices that they picked at the beginning. So you may have encountered the equivalent of Space Gandhi or Montezuma or whatever.
Let's give me my character. I'm going to be Space Gandhi. That's just too good.
The point is, we want each character to be a puzzle you have to solve every playthrough. You don't want to assume that Gandhi's going to nuke you. You know that from past playthroughs he's kind of aggressive, but you don't know how he's going to be aggressive this playthrough.
Okay.
So they're all colored by these non-deterministic choices.
Okay, so speaking of aggression, that's one way you can always win Civ, just kill everybody. What are your victory conditions, though, for Beyond Earth?
Well, there's always domination. You can always kill everyone and win the game that way. Apart from that, there are sort of technology-themed victories. There's several of those. There's Transcendence, which is a callback to Alpha Centauri. This is when you discover that the planet is sentient, kind of like Solaris or something like that, and you figure out how to talk to it, merge your consciousness with it.
Wow, that sounds trippy.
Yeah, trippy, right. There's the Emancipation victory, which you reestablish communication with Earth, and you build a warp gate, and you send military units through the warp gate to conquer Earth. There's the Promised Land victory, which is the reverse of that, where you build the gate and bring new settlers to the new world. All of these victory conditions are very involved. So it's not hit this number. It's do these things and protect this stuff and build these things. And it's kind of like a progression that you have to start 50 or 60 turns before the game might be over. So they're much more involved. Analogous to like the space race from Civ 5. You build all the parts and send the ship up.
Fantastic.
More of that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Will, for coming on and showing us some new gameplay of